So today I just want to take a look at the changelogs of the snapshots that have so far been released. It's 43a BC, 44a, 45a, and 46a. So let's begin with the first one, which was 43a, B, and C. And here let's start with the A snapshot. So in this one, like, the most things were added. So bamboo, which goes to 12 to 16 blocks, can be bone mealed, and can be used in a furnace. You can craft sticks with 2 bamboo for 1 stick, and 4 bamboo can smelt a single item. And you can place them in flower pots, and they can be found in jungle temples and shipwrecks in the chests. Also making the jungle temple chests maybe slightly more interesting, but I don't really know. But they can usually contain not really interesting items anyway, so yeah. Then the community suggestions were apparently quite a big thing. So leaves now can drop sticks, which makes sense, like small twigs falling off the leaves. That's a nice touch. Coarse fruit flowers can be broken by an arrow. I don't really get that, but okay. Dead bushes can now be used as furnace fuel. There was a bit of confusion about this because I think it read originally can no longer be used as furnace fuel, and that was wrong, so they now can be used as furnace fuel. That makes much more sense. And rabbit stew and beetroot soup now have a changed shapeless recipe, so you no longer need to know where the rabbit and where the mushrooms and whatnot goes. So that's good. Uh, this thing, I would have said this would have been a bug if it didn't happen earlier, but apparently now Mojang is selling this as a community suggestion. I, if I would have noticed that, I would have just put it on the bug tracker, to be honest. So creepers will now also drop music discs when they are shot by a stray. I mean, the stray is a skeleton, so I I've seen it as a bug if it didn't happen before, but okay, let's just sell it as a community suggestion. And dispensers with shears can now shear sheep. I think dispensers should be able to do much more. I think they should be able to place blocks, because if they can't even place blocks, what's the difference between a dispenser and a dropper in that sense? Yeah, so I think dispensers should be able to place blocks, should be able to plant seeds. They should really be able to do more than at the moment. Then the crossbow got added. There are already a lot of videos about that, with different enchantments, and the loading mechanics of the crossbow are not necessarily fully intuitive, so you must really know how to do it. So you need to hold down the use button. Then when the crossbow is fully charged, you must let go of the use button, because if you keep holding it, it is this in between state, and then you need to press the use button again to actually shoot your crossbow. So not like an instant recognition of how you can do this if you use it the first time. So you hold down until it's fully charged, then you want to immediately let go so you can efficiently have the crossbow charged, and then you want to click it again if you want to shoot it. So you can have charged crossbows in your inventory, meaning if you're quick, you could have a basically 9-shot machine gun, because you can have 9 charged crossbows in your inventory and just 1 shoot, 2 shoot, 3 shoot, and just go through that, and that possibly is quite quick. Yeah, but obviously the loading time is quite much more than with the bow. A lot of new stairs and slabs and walls, and and I think the nether brick is now a fence post or something. And you now need nether brick blocks and 2 brick items to make the nether brick fence, which makes a bit more sense. Yeah. And now signs need, yeah, all of the same wood type and cannot no longer use any wood, which I'm like, that already existed with the doors, and now we have it with even more blocks. I mean, it adds more blocks to the game, but it also makes crafting so much more difficult, because till now I could make a sign out of 1 jungle, 1 oak, 1 birch, 1 dark oak, 1 spruce plank, and another piece of oak or something. And now I need all the same blocks, which, yeah, is a bit of a downside, I see. So I had hoped that we wouldn't get more of those wood type blocks, because I don't know if they add really that much. Yeah, well, and now like white text is like unreadable on a birch sign, dark text is unreadable on a dark oak or spruce sign, so I don't really know about that change. Dyes have now been changed, that all of the dyes just have the name of the color and no longer of a plant, and the former dye items now uh, are no longer used as dye. However, you can still craft those items into dye. So one bone meal will give you one white dye, so you can just convert them. Yeah, and there are new flowers. So for the flowers that also exist in real life, there is the cornflower and the lily of the valley. As far as I know, both of them being quite poisonous in real life, so you don't necessarily want to have them there. So the lily of the valley is what in German is known as a Maiglöckchen. That is highly poisonous. You don't even want to touch it and get your hands then near your face, because that could already poison you in places. And the cornflower, generally a flower that's either associated with nothing or positive things, except for in Austria. In Austria, yeah, just Google what the cornflower stands for in Austria, and then you will not be so happy about it. So yeah, that is not the fault of the cornflower, but I thought I should mention it, that while in a lot of other countries it's like a symbol of like remembering the well, the like warriors of the world wars or whatnot. In Austria, it's the sign of right-wing parties. Yeah, so far. And for things in the game, we now got the Wither Rose, which is a rose that gets planted when the Wither kills an entity. Now, some people said it drops when it kills the entity. That's not entirely true. When the Wither kills an entity, a living entity, with one shot of its heads, the Wither Rose gets planted in the place where the entity dies. Obviously, often due to lag or other conditions, the Wither shoots two heads towards one entity, meaning the rose gets planted, and right afterwards the block gets destroyed and it pops off. So yeah, just keep in mind it is supposed to be planted on the block the entity dies, but if the Wither shoots more than one time, it might just pop off as an item. The Illegible Beast got added in this snapshot in 43ABC, but it has now been removed. We will come to that at the most current snapshot. But it got added, and yeah, they are kind of also looking for name suggestions. Although I think that's already a interesting name. Like maybe just Beast, and maybe call it Mr. Beast. Yes. Yeah. Then the Loom, one of the greatest things ever. So now you can make banners without needing to use a lot of dye and know the like patterns and how to do it. Now you just put in one dye and you can get any pattern you like, which is really great. The new textures, I've already talked about them. Still think sand slightly needs to change. Now I think in the most current snapshot, sand has once again slightly been tweaked, I think. So I think it's getting there, but in the case of sand, the original wasn't that bad. Why fix things that aren't broken? I I say, and the like granite still doesn't really look like a stone, but yeah, those are the only things I really don't like. But the new textures, like the new glass, is perfect. Please also for stained glass, because the stained glass at this point in time is still like the old texture. So please, the glass texture I think is quite final now. So just also put that to this stained glass, that we also can well see through that. Pandas got basically voted for by the community in China, because if you didn't know, there is an own Minecraft, well, an own Minecraft version is for China, the Minecraft China edition, because obviously in China everything is like censored and government controlled and whatnot, so you can't just have a normal version that's also sold anywhere else. So there's Minecraft China edition, because it's also a big market and this is where the money is at. And there was then a voting for which like mob should be in the China edition, but also in the international version of the game, and pandas won. We must say it is the giant panda, and because there is also the red panda, also occasionally called the small panda, and it's the giant panda that got into Minecraft, because the red panda, yeah, kind of looks like a fox. So now with like foxes also being added in 1.14, I think the red panda wouldn't really have made much sense. So yeah, giant panda. This is the pillagers have been added in this snapshot. Yeah, first of all, suspicious stew, best overpowered item ever. But second of all, this thing. Now, Mojang, you know, there are servers on which your game gets exploited as much as it can be exploited. One of those servers is called 2b2t. It's an anarchy server, and for the last weeks, people have been using what is known as a dupe or duplication glitch there, which uses the inability to save chunks bigger than 1 MB to actually dupe items. So how this glitch works is you have a chunk and you have 2 chests. One set of chests contains, I think it's like 6 or 7 books, or like even only 5, with random Chinese characters. So like extended Unicode characters. Then there is another chest, also containing books with such characters. Now, as long as those books are in 2 separate chests, the algorithm that compresses the chunk is capable of keeping the chunk size beneath 1 MB, meaning it saves. Then you can place like shulker boxes full of diamond gear and blocks and whatnot inside of this chunk. Then you unlock the hoppers beneath the chests and put both books, so all of the books, into the same chest beneath. As soon as this has happened, the chunk can no longer be compressed to be smaller than 1 MB and hence will not save its changed state. Now, what this means is you can now take the shulker boxes full of items, diamond blocks, or whatever you have left in the chunk, go out of the chunk, so unload it, reload the chunk, and then the books are again going to be in the top chests, the hoppers are again going to be locked, the shulker boxes are again going to be there, while you also have those shulker boxes now, so they got duplicated, and any items or like blocks that you had in this chunk are once again in this chunk, meaning you can duplicate, like you are definitely going to end up duplicating redstone blocks, and you can duplicate anything that is in this chunk. And this is possible with only 50 pages and limited copy-paste capabilities. Now, Mojang adds 100 pages. Well, 50 more pages, so 100 pages overall. You can now easily copy-paste, select things, move the cursor around, meaning this dupe glitch just got much easier. I mean, any server where this is active, they are kind of patching it, they are possibly no longer allowing Unicode, like extended Unicode characters in books or something, but as long as you haven't really fixed possibly the possibility that a chunk cannot be saved and you can do things within it, maybe don't make books bigger, because there's also the possibility to give people books that as soon as they are in their inventory, they crash them and they can no longer join the server, which is called a book ban. Maybe this one wasn't the best idea in terms of gameplay being able to be exploited in a lot of ways. But yeah, okay. It got added. Let's have a look how many people are quickly going to break the game with this. And then there were a lot of technical changes. Custom model data was possibly one I want to mention, because this now enables you to basically add new blocks and items to Minecraft. This is what the custom model data does. You will need to be able to use like JSON files and the NBT data. So not necessarily the most straightforward thing, but definitely a good thing. And like otherwise, you now can use NBT components in chat, so you can basically say some something that has a certain NBT, and it will output that in chat as a name of the item or the object or whatever. So yeah, otherwise a lot of changes. The like new also the drop command that can drop things either in the user's inventory or just on the ground, as if it was like loot or something got killed or whatever. So like formerly, if you like wanted to drop gunpowder somewhere, you like had to summon the creeper and kill the creeper and have it drop its drop. So like put it into an inventory or something and have it drop out of there. Now you no longer have to summon the creeper, you can just use drop loot from the creeper and it will drop the gunpowder in a certain amount of chances. So yeah, that's a quite nice thing. And the schedule command also great. You can now schedule things. So this is quite helpful for functions, that if you kill all entities and they all drop items, that you can then say schedule in 200 game ticks, kill all items, because it's often like entities die and then there's a bit of lag, and then they drop the item, and if you do a kill items right afterwards, it doesn't kill all the items often enough. So maybe you want to use a schedule command to delay the execution of that command. Now, there can only be at this point in time one schedule command active at one time, so you can say schedule something for in 20 game ticks, but then if you quickly, well, let's say 2000 game ticks, and then you say schedule something in 20 game ticks, then this 20 game tick thing will overwrite the other schedule, and the 20 game tick thing will happen, the 2000 will not. So please be careful, only one schedule command at a time at this point in time. Yeah, the light engine changed. Supposedly now there's much less lag with light updates, but there seems to be other types of lag that came with this. So yeah, but I think it's now much better. Also now, because of this change now, if you have a slab and there is supposed to be light coming over that or under that slab, then this will now happen. So they have changed that. So it makes much more sense than it did previously, which obviously means that your dark room mob farms with slabs on the side will no longer work. But yeah, just build them a bit bigger and use dark stained glass. I think that also covers some light. And yeah, so like maybe a few mob farm designs might break slightly with that, but it shouldn't be too bad. And the rest you can look this through yourself. I'm going to put all of the links in the description. So yeah, things changed. Also, the world gen, apparently things changed. Because they like added the bamboo jungle and bamboo jungle hills, and most features now have a registry. I sadly don't know what that exactly means. That a lot of things now have a registry, but I guess that means that like certain configurations and things can be written into one file or folder, and that gets taken from there. Because this is what a registry would be. I don't know what it means in terms of the game. Yeah, and a lot of bug fixes as well, a few at least. So then we come to 18w44a, which was the one where all of those blocks were added and the cats. However, those blocks still don't do anything. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you a few things, because the texture of this block, and this block have changed. So I'm just going to show you those updated textures at the end. But yeah, so this was the split of the cats. those new blocks, the capability to die designs, and the programmer art is in the game. That actually only worked as of 18w45a, because in this thing it didn't work as it was supposed to be. But you can still use the old textures if you activate the programmer art resource pack that is now within Minecraft from the resource pack option in your settings. So the cat and ocelot got split, and those new blocks got added. I think in my snapshot video for that snapshot, I think I wanted to mention the bell and didn't, or just mention it somewhere in between. Yes, the bell is cool. I just want to say that. Even though at this point in time it doesn't do anything, but it like hangs off blocks, and this is a great thing. The award part of the drop command got like removed in this snapshot because loot does the same thing. Yeah, and like other changes to like loot tables and stuff, you can look that through yourself if you're interested more for the technical part, because I'm mostly trying to cover the survival interesting aspects of the game, if you didn't notice. So in the last snapshot video, I like also didn't mention the jigsaw block, because yeah, it's some technical block that can only be given to you by commands. Not interesting for survival. So yeah. Then 45a, which added the Illager patrols. At this point in time, they still spawned with the beast. Added scaffolding and rewrote design editing again, and performance and improvement and bug fixes and so on. Yeah. And otherwise not really a lot changes in here, just a few by this here. Yeah, I wouldn't see that as being a bug, because it's placing the wither rows mob griefing. I would say that's debatable, but they apparently fixed it so that it doesn't happen when mob griefing is false. Doesn't really make sense. Like, if the mob kills the entity, then so the wither kills the entity, then I think the wither row should be made, because it's not deleting a block; it's planted on top of the block where the entity died. So yeah, I wouldn't really see this as an error, unless the wither can't kill the entities then, but I think it can, so yeah, I wouldn't say that's a bug, but whatever. Yeah, so, but otherwise, this now all got fixed, those all were bugs. Yeah. Also this one, that like potion effects also work for creative mode players. That was always the case. If you drink a potion in creative mode, it is applied to you, so I don't know what that really says, because you still can't be hurt from it. So yes, it gives you the wither effect, but nothing happens. That's not a bug. That was always in the game, and it makes sense. Hope they didn't fix the bug in the way that you can no longer have potion effects when you're in creative mode, because that would be bad. Hope they didn't fix it in that way. Need to test this out later. But then we come to the most current snapshot, 18w46a. So they added the lantern in this one, as I showed you yesterday. They improved the pillager AI, apparently. They still shoot each other, they still rotate on slabs and other things. Now, what they changed is all the pillagers follow their leader. Now, often enough, they kind of tend to spawn without a leader. So, if that's an improvement to the AI, I'm not too sure, because it's like they are supposed to spawn in groups of 5, as far as I heard now, so it's now no longer up to 5, but actually 5. But occasionally they, well, spawn 4, and then the leader is missing, and then they just stand around and don't really do anything. So I think something's broken there, and I think they should just spawn up to 5 and not always 5. That is kind of, yeah, so it now says 5 random images. Well, it seems occasionally, I've at least seen it, that occasionally there are only 4 spawning and the leader is just missing. So I think they should again change this to be up to 5 and just always have a leader. So better make sure that there always is one with the banner, but doesn't have to be 5. I think that would be much better, because that worked beforehand. I mean, the leader would ride the beast and the beast would always spawn, but yeah, I think this fix kind of broke stuff, if I'm completely honest. But otherwise, not much to say here. Yeah, slabs and stairlight incorrect. This is a really old bug. This is MC92, and it has now been fixed. So this is what I said with the new lighting engine also being capable of now apparently doing that, so that the light now shines through gaps that are left by slabs and stairs. Yeah, and some other things got changed. Yeah. And this was a bug that was kind of came with the snapshot that has also been fixed. Could have been a nice like exploitable thing, that you could have had waterlogged scaffolding and kind of moved around the block and waterlogged a whole area, but that got fixed because it is a bug after all. So yeah, that is all the snapshots, and now I wanted to take a look at what exactly something in the new snapshot. So let's just go in there and check out a few things. Okay, so let's have a look at the blocks that changed. I think I should just go down here in the creative inventory now. I don't think any of those have changed. Let's just put down a bell for good measure, because it's a bell. That's great. So what definitely changed is the smithing table, the stone cutter, and the cartography table, and I think the fletching table got slightly changed to be slightly brighter. Also, I should again put down the lantern, because I missed a bit there to point out. So the fletching table now has more this birch vibe, so it might be crafted with birch wood. That is a good question. Like, they still have no GUI, so you can't click on them. Then we have got the cartography table. I guess that's supposed to be like a globe in the corner of it. That's like supposed to be a map. That's like supposed to be a compass. That's like a crafting table with what? And I guess this might be made from dark oak. And then the smithing table, like, might be made of steel. So iron. Looks definitely quite irony now. Yeah. Just one thing I also want to point out. Just imagine spawning on such an island like I have here with this nice seed here. So this is a really nice seed because you spawn on this island, but then just imagine a pillager raid spawning right next to you. Yeah, I don't know about this one, Mojang. I think like the spawn chunks should be free of those guys. But yeah, so those are the changed textures, and I guess Mojang with like changing things from being only craftable with like one type of wood. If you now use this type of wood, you will get a fletching table. If you use the dark oak, you will get a cartography table. If you use, I don't know, steel, maybe, or acacia wood, you will get this one. I think this is the idea of that. Then I need to put down the lantern, because I didn't mention the texture is slightly animated. So it's like three different hues. Just thought that is worth mentioning. And obviously I can also give myself the debug stick, which enables me to change this thing from hanging true to hanging false. So if it's false, then it's this. If it's true, then it hangs like this. And it hangs 1 pixel off the table, as you can see here. So it goes 1 pixel off the whole thing when it's hanging on top of another block. Yeah, does the same thing go for the bell? I don't think so. Yeah, face wall doesn't exist. Face ceiling is like this. Yeah, there it doesn't change. And facing. Okay, so that much is what I still wanted to mention for those blocks. And now one thing that definitely isn't survival is the jigsaw block, which they added, which apparently gives me the recipe to craft a chest. That is peculiar. But yeah, so the jigsaw block, this is it. Yeah, looks like this and has a GUI. So you can like have a target pool, an attachment type, and turns into. I don't quite know what that is. What if I just have it like it is and power it? Let's have a look. Does absolutely nothing. Okay. So I guess in here must be some sort of identifier, and then it does something at some point. So this thing also got added, but I didn't cover it because I mostly cover survival stuff. Like those rotating madmen. That's what I do here on this channel. Wonderful. One item I forgot to mention, the stone cutter also has a new now animated texture, and I once again want to say I think you should kind of be hurt when you stand on the blade, because it doesn't make sense that I can stand on this thing in survival and don't take damage. I think that should then still be added at some point. And another thing I want to add, although the sand, and I don't know if it has changed since the last time I critiqued it, but now that I look at it, like, I think the sandstone might have slightly changed, and yeah, I think the sand kind of works. It still looks a bit to me like too much like a constant fill, but it's obviously a bit difficult with blocks to kind of get the sand feeling. But the original sand, if we quickly go into the programmer art and look at this, yeah, I mean, I kind of can now see what was kind of wrong with it, was that it looked, I guess, far too grainy for at least Jasper's liking, but I think this like really gets the message across. Like lots of small things that can potentially like move around and like glitter in the sun and whatever. This kind of gets the message across, while, well, the current version, yeah, looks much more like a carpet. it like doesn't really get the message across that this is supposed to be sand. And also I think the sandstone doesn't really get the message across that it's supposed to be no longer moving sand. Yeah, that kind of still doesn't fully work, I feel like. Bye.